to one and all present here. Today we are going to discuss one case, and let us start from that end. Mr.
David D'Souza.
David D'Souza, he is the personal assistant of Bob Gannon. Mr. Antonio, Miss ZB Malik, Mr. Bob,
Miss Fernandez,
Miss Jennifer Fernandez,
Portia,
Miss Portia, myself, Shylock, he is Mr. Kevin, and he is Mr. Smith, the typewriter. Thank you. Let us start the case.
All rise. Judge of the court is in session.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Are the both party ready for the defense?
Ready for offending, Your Honor.
Ready to defend, Your Honor.
The prosecution can move ahead.
Your Honor, I would like to call Mr. Lang in the witness box with your kind permission to describe the case.
Permission granted.
I swear that the evidence that I shall give should be the truth, all the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name for the records.
Antonio.
So, Mr. Lang, will you please let us know that what was actual situation?
Yes. Your Honor, the story goes back to the 2002 that I met Mr. Kevin Whitcraft and discussed a little bit about the business opportunities here in India. And he seemed to be interested, and I asked him for initial amount of $100,000 to start the business. Instead, he offered me only 20,000 USD because he could not afford the provision of $100,000 back in that time. And along that $20,000, he offered 50% shares of profit in the business for me. It was like, as much as the business grows, we will divide the business between both of us. Then after that, even he added that even if I lose the money, the $20,000, he would not ask me about that money. And also, after me growing the business and making profit, huge business, then Mr. Bob comes into picture, and now he's been assigned as regional manager of Aurum Asia here in India, and I'm supposed to report to him. I do not have any issues with Bob being the regional manager and from now on being the sole responsible person for the business. But I just want the 50% share of the profit that I was promised. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Antonio. You may leave.
Thank you.
No further queries, Your Honor.
Your witness, please.
My lord, my client, Mr. Kevin, is presumed to be innocent in this case. And there was no such promise had been made by my client. And to prove this, I want to call Mr. Antonio in the witness box. May I?
Permission granted.
Please consider. I swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name for the records.
Antonio.
Mr. Antonio, tell to the court that when and where you and Mr. Kevin had met.
We met on June 15th, 2002, in Bangalore.
And what was the purpose, the actual purpose behind that meeting?
It was a casual meeting, casual dinner.
Please, can you please elaborate somehow how do you finalize your deal and?
Okay, it was in between during that dinner we discussed, as I said earlier, we discussed the opportunities, and later on, by the end of dinner, he invited me to his office to discuss the case in more details. After that, when I went to his office and discussed the deal, discussed the business opportunities, then he offered me that amount of money that I mentioned earlier.
So it means that after finalizing that business deal, you must have invested some amount of money. Is it right or not, Mr. Antonio?
No, I must be honest. I had not invested any money from my side.
Point to be noted, my lord. Mr. Antonio himself is speaking that he has not invested a single penny in the business, and still he is claiming for the profit sharing. This is something irrelevant. No further questions, my lord.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I seek your permission to call Mr. Kevin in the witness box.
Permission granted.
Yes, Your Honor. I swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, all the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the records.
Mr. Kevin Wincraft.
So, Mr. Kevin, you appointed Mr. Bob?
Yes,
I mean, why? Can you know the reason?
because he's my friend and he offered me a grand project of $350 million.
So, at that time, Mr. Antonio must be present, right?
No, he was not present at that time.
Didn't you find any necessity and any importance of Mr. Antonio's presence?
No,
Why?
because it is my business, all about my business, and I am engaged in my business and he is working under me as a regional manager
Point
in
to be
RMS.
noted, my lord. Mr. Antonio was handling all the business activities, though Mr. Kevin didn't find any importance of Mr. Antonio's presence. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
My lord, my overwise friend, Miss Portia, is trying to manipulate my client. Mr. Antonio is the regional manager of Arab Asia Company Limited since last 13 years. And he is withdrawing extra money from the business account. And to prove that, I want to call Ms. Zebi Malik, the accountant of the Arab Asia Company Limited. May I?
Permission granted.
Yes, Your Honor. I swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, all the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the records.
Miss Debbie.
Ms. Zebi Malik. Mr. Antonio is working as a regional manager in the Arab Asia Corporation Limited. Is it true or not?
Yes.
So he must be having something in reward of that service.
Yes, of course he has been paid salary every month.
Okay. Now tell to the court, do you have any idea that Mr. Antonio is getting something extra rather than the salary? Do you know that?
Yes, Mr. Antonio receives the yes, Mr. Antonio takes the excess money from the business apart from salary from the business.
This is the truth, my lord. I am providing here the bank statement of Arab Asia Corporation Limited for last 3 years. This is the evidence. It self proves that Mr. Antonio is withdrawing excess money from the business fund without any concern. No further questions, my lord. Thank you, Ms. Zebi.
Your Honor, I want to cross-examine Ms. Zebi Malik. So, Ms. Zebi, just let the court know that when do you generally report all the financial statements to Kevin as well as company?
yearly I used to submit all the reports and accounts to Mr. Kevin.
So, generally, what was his expression? Did he know about everything that Mr. Antonio has receiving money?
Yes, of course, whenever I used to submit all the reports and accounts to Mr. Kevin, at that time he was not having any kind of objection. That's why Mr. Antonio withdrawing the excess money apart from the salary from the business.
Thank you, Ms. Debbie. You may leave.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I just want to say that my client, Mr. Antonio, is receiving money every now and then. But Mr. Kevin has not known about everything, though he didn't took any objection. He took an objection when Bob came into the picture. It clearly shows that Mr. Bob has manipulated Mr. Kevin to own the business. Thank you, my lord.
Just a minute, Miss Portia. Let us make it clear. My lord, I want to call Mr. Antonio in the witness box. May I?
Permission granted.
Mr. Antonio,
Yes, sir.
why were you withdrawing extra money from the business fund without any consent of Mr. Kevin with Kraft?
Your Honor, it was not that I was withdrawing money without Mr. Kevin Whitcraft's consent. He had me promised that he would be sharing the business funds, the business profit between two people, me and him, 50-50. In that context, because I was promised such, I was withdrawing money.
You should inform Mr. Kevin with Kraft whenever you wanted to withdraw the extra money, because he is the owner of the business, not you.
But I was promised such. Your Honor, I just said that I was promised.
Thank you, Mr. Antonio. No further questions, my lord.
My lord, Mr. Shylock has tried to mislead the case, because the case is not about withdrawing the money. The case is about 50% sharing. And Mr. Bob has manipulated Mr. Kevin. And to prove that, I would like to call Mr. Bob into the witness box. May I?
Permission granted.
Please raise your hand. I swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the records.
Bob Kennedy.
So, Mr. Bob, you met Mr. Kevin?
Yes.
Why did you meet Mr. Kevin instead of Mr. Antonio? Though you know that Mr. Antonio is running the business?
Actually, from the external source, when Antonio is only running the business, not owner of the company. That's why I meet Mr. Kevin, who is actually owner of the company. And I have a grand project of $350 million, and I need someone who can help me in this project.
So, Mr. Antonio must be present at that time, right?
No, he was not present at that.
Milord, Mr. Bob had known that if Mr. Antonio was present at that time, he could have been a hurdle for him, and hence Mr. Bob met Mr. Kevin in absence of Mr. Antonio. Thank you, Mr. Bob. You may leave.
Miss Portia, this is something misleading. Mr. Bob had gone to my client to just offer a business deal, just a business idea. My client is not that much immature that anybody can come and he can manipulate my client.
Hold on, Mr. Shylock. My lord, I can prove it. I want to call Mr. David, who is personal assistant of Mr. Bob. May I?
Permission granted.
Please raise your hand. I swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the records.
David D'Souza.
So, Mr. David D'Souza, from how many years you have been working with Mr. Bob?
It's been for 10 years I am working with Mr. Bob.
So, as a personal assistant, you must be present in every business meetings with Mr. Bob.
Yes, definitely. I am aware about each and every business deals.
So, can you please tell us that what was actually happened when Mr. Bob met Mr. Kevin?
On the date 11th March 2015, Mr. Bob met Mr. Kevin to grab the opportunity for $350 million. And I knew, and Mr. Bob knew, that Mr. Kevin is the owner of the company.
Okay, you may leave. Your Honor, from his statement, we can clearly say that Mr. Bob has manipulated Mr. Kevin to own the business. Thank you, my lord.
Miss Portia, this is something just the words. There is no documented proof. I want to ask Miss Portia that whether you are having the documented proof for the same or not. If not, then please close. You are wasting the time of mine and the court also.
Your Honor, I have proof. Your Honor, this is a copy of email that has been taken a place between Mr. Kevin and my client, Mr. Antonio. In this proof, Mr. Kevin has clearly stated that you don't need to ask anything to me. You are equal partner. Thank you, my lord.
Any argument for defense?
No, Your Honor.
According to Indian Contract Act 1872, and by considering the facts and all the evidence that was presented before the court, and after investigating various persons associated with the case, the court is of view that the promise had in fact have been made by Mr. Kevin Hitchcock to Mr. Antonio. And as per the promise, Mr. Antonio is rightfully owns the 50% profit sharing in the RM Asia Company Limited. Now, it is up to the both parties how they can settle up. And the court also advised to Mr. Kevin to newly settle up the proposal and agreement where a clear role, position and all the details of ownership as well as profit sharing must be clearly mentioned among all the partners of the holding company. The court case is closed now.